Supporting loved ones during spiritual crisis. We offer guidelines and context in supporting loved ones during spiritual crisis, as so many people are undergoing spiritual crisis at this time. For support, I have included 3 audio meditation treatments in the newsletter to utilize when standing in and representing a family member that you would wish to direct your prayers towards. So as we move into August, supporting loved ones during spiritual crisis. Having gone on a recent trip to clear family patterns and confront other related issues, it has brought an emphasis of what light workers undergo with the biological family and other pertinent third-dimensional relationships. As light workers with a degree of conscious awareness, many of us feel confused or troubled, viewing behavior or situations that we encounter in the family and friend environment. Having a tremendous amount of personal experience with this specific issue, I hope to offer some tips or guidelines that may bring you some comfort. It is not easy watching loved ones suffer or make destructive choices, which you can see are going to yield an excruciating or painful result. Every person must live through their life experiences in order to arrive at the conclusion that the relationship to their inner self is the most important relationship. This means that on the external view, we need to be careful to not interfere or get in the way of the person's growth lesson. This can also boomerang back towards us in a superimposition field, and that is not our role as light workers to take on other people's responsibilities or get siphoned dry with vampiric behavior. At the same time, we also comprehend that these larger patterns of manipulation, mind control, and the lack of free will, as an example in the case of severe addictions created by entity possession. In our heart, we desire to help and heal people whenever we are capable and when we are aligned to the highest mutual expression of all parties involved. This sounds simple in theory. However, in daily practice, we all know that this is not easy at all. The single most important component of being effective in healing these types of relationships and their situations is non-attachment. This can sound like quite the conundrum, as it may be construed that if you are non-attached, it means that you do not care or you do not take action. This is not accurate. The practice of compassionate witnessing and getting skilled at non-judgment, correcting your thoughts, is helpful and necessary if you are going to be effective at healing and transforming difficult situations. We are learning to be a chalice of God's source, a pure light vessel so that healing consciousness can flow through your heart and to the person or family member totally indiscriminately. This is similar to dispensing grace or dispensing a blessing. In the beginning stages of your ascension clearing pathway, as a soul initiate, you will start to notice that you are connected ancestrally to genetic miasm that sources directly from your family of origin. As you become more conscious, you will experience and become aware of its direct influence on your person. Family of origin miasma impacts everything in your life, what manifests in your reality, until you become aware of it and choose to clear and transcend its influences in your life. You will then need to decide what you want to energetically wear, as everything you inherited in your family and from the human race does not need to become a part of your self-defined identity. As you observe and take responsibility for what you are inhabiting, this is within your fleshly body, and the current station of your life circumstances, you can participate with healing your genetic and family of origin miasmatic relationships that reside as memory in your flesh. In most cases, if you pay attention to the various patterns, attitudes, ideals, emotional intelligence, or lack thereof, in your current biological family dynamic, you will know these patterns extend to other lifetimes as well and hold relevant clues and information to what you agreed as a soul to come to this earth to heal. You are here now on planet Earth during the ascension cycle to complete and end these patterns. When you comprehend the complexity of these arrangements and their relationships, you will have a whole new level of self-love and self-appreciation, respecting your spirit's aspiring nature. For you are truly awesome. As you accept this role of responsibility to heal your own body, you begin the exploration of asking that internal question, who am I really? As you dedicate daily practice to your healing, to your spiritual ascension, you begin a massive amount of personal healing and personal clearing that extends to your entire biological family, genetic line, bloodline, and even the collective human race memory, planetary memory, solar memory, galactic memory, and then even universal memory. So it's important to know, as you heal your body, as you heal your flesh and your spirit bodies, you also heal your biological family. And this keeps unraveling through the various octaves of your multi-dimensional selves. Healing the inner polarity and unifying your form with spirit heals the entire universe. That is why all healing starts inside yourself. Healing yourself is a massive service and contribution to humanity, the planet, and extends all the way to our universe. So in the newly adept stages, while you're getting the wing of the ascension lingo and language, you will be most efficient focusing on healing your inner self and getting to know the contents of your own heart. This is developing your emotional state and emotional intelligence, learning how to become your own inner parent. Many times this will include learning about ascension mechanics, as in this stage of evolution shows you how to move on to learn how to communicate directly with spiritual forces. To do this, you will need some level of skill. And without this skill, you will find yourself getting stuck or being guided to study your inner contents more and more. When you are looping somewhere in your mind, you are being told to pay attention and learn the lesson in front of you. Those inner contents must be cleared of negative ego. Within the energetic synthesis community, this is one of the components of what we are learning: how to direct and communicate with forces in order to accomplish your personal spiritual connection and then embody your spirit within your core physical being. As you are connected and embodied in your spiritual source, you will start to interact with spiritual forces automatically, and your sphere of influence and visibility in the other dimensions is increased dramatically. As you are detected this way from other dimensions of experience, you may encounter psychic attack, plain and simple. This is perfectly okay, and it is as it is. This is why you agreed to come here to Earth in the first place. Most of us want something exciting to happen on the outside of our lives, some bells and whistles, but that is not the most productive way to heal your inner spirit. Your inner spirit will evoke and require your full attention, and that is discipline and commitment. This study period may feel arduous and never-ending when it's happening, and you may feel frustrated. But in the right timing, as you keep plugging along, this commitment reaps the biggest reward of your lifetime. Inner peace, spiritual connection, and trust pervade your inner core, and you feel safe, secure, and blessed by the heavens above. In the beginning stages of spiritual awakening, the tests and lessons of personal mastery are of directing your attention and directing your consciousness. So, number one guideline, ask and inquire on the way of your soul and its purposes. Number two, listen and learn the language of your soul and take action on the guidance of your soul. Number three, develop your inner connection to soul that supersedes all reliance on the external connections or external perceptions of reality. Number four, live a life congruent to your soul and its purposes, and that it serves as an example to others. On the ascension pathway, you are always interchangeable between teacher and student archetypes, with the most supreme teacher always being your own inner spirit. In the earlier stages of ascension awareness, in order to help your biological or extended family heal yourself and cultivate your compassionate communication and being authentic in their presence, do not revert to old programs to please their ego. No person benefits when lies are being told or when lies are being represented, ever. Get clear on the big burrito theme of fear or pain in your life that you inherited from your family, and get on it. Clear it out. You are an eternal being. There is nothing to fear. As you get better skilled in ascension language and communicating with and directing spiritual forces, we at ES have developed meditations as a sample verbiage to include family and friends in your prayers, as long as you are internally guided and have their permission. This should not be used with intentions to change anyone, but to allow blessings of grace and support to be given where it can be received. Be clear to honor the free will choices of every person's belief system. This includes in your own family members. Stay away from all forms of manipulation, whether emotional manipulation or energetic manipulation. Stay away from all forms of manipulation towards people, circumstances, or events. Practice using the basic template verbiage that I use every time in monthly group meditation, as this is done with purpose to evoke the architecture of spiritual forces into the 12th dimensional containment field and your personal shield, which acts as a communication hub. When you become adept at this, it becomes second nature. And then you begin to work as a Christed ritual master. You flow into your higher sensory function. And this will start to introduce a new language from your own inner spirit to your personality. This is important that you listen and allow these spiritual expressions to come through naturally and without judgment. Sometimes this can be visions, intuitions, tones, colors, and codes, you name it. At this point, you know you are ready to work in the session world. As you are protected with your 12th dimensional shield and the Aurora Guardian family, you can practice opening and closing healing sessions on yourself, and then with permission, with others. Introducing your family line or individual family members into your prayers and healing sessions. Remember, teacher-student archetypes always interchange as equals. Practice these processes with total non-attachment. This means no ego or attachment to result. With your ascension buddies, and those that you have asked permission to work and practice with ascension healing. So in this month's news, we have given some suggestions for family and group clearing. The health upgrade can be dedicated to sick family members to include in your prayers. The Alpha Omega clearing audio is to clear 9/11 timelines and their implants from family members or friends. And the etheric body rewiring treatment can be also utilized with a family member or friend as a stand-in. Sometimes during session work, you will encounter bizarre, shocking, scary, ugly, and maybe even attacking phenomena. Do not let this scare you. Do not let this hurt your feelings. Do not let this sway you from learning and developing your spiritual skills. You may revisit the psychic self-defense material if you're feeling shaky and you need some reinforcement. There is no need to start blaming or getting cynical about attacking or insecure people. Sometimes you will encounter what's known as the Twilight Master archetype, a person that works with both dark and light, or works with the dark representing themselves as the light. Many of these people that you may encounter in the Twilight Master archetype are teaching you a skill. As you get used to the paranormal and multidimensional activity and become able to observe it without feeling shocked, without feeling judgment, or without feeling that it's weird, it's important that you progress further, getting used to the paranormal and getting used to multidimensional activity. Until you accept this multidimensional world, even as strange as it is, you may be repeating scary experiences over and over until it's not an emotional consequence to you anymore. This is dark arts training, and you will need to be comfortable in this arena, so try to relax. However, protect yourself. Maintain a hyper-vigilance in commanding your space and setting personal energetic boundaries. No one is allowed to take your God power away from you, no matter how much they want to take it, and you may have to claim your personal sovereignty and personal space a lot of the time. This is required to build your inner foundation and to become strong so that no parasite or entity can penetrate and steal your light energy as you get stronger and stronger. You will have periods of vacillation where you have to be down as you hit the floor in order to create the tension that catapults you back up and away from that level of vibrational density. Try to take this with stride, as you will bounce back much sooner than you think. As you become more embodied and have resolved inner and outer ego conflicts, your being naturally becomes about service to others, service to God. This is when the mysteries of God are revealed to your inner person, and this is actually when the bells and whistles really start happening. Not that you expect it, but naturally and organically this happens as a way of life. Life becomes magical. This is a stage of ritual master to master guide or God guardian, a steward of God's plan. Your physical embodiment is a living, breathing conduit of God's divine plan of stewardship, and you are the dispensary of grace and sole purpose to other human beings. This is not an ego function, and this function has no value difference with others. It is understanding the impact of spiritual forces working through your being. At this point, you may be requested to be of service to planetary grids that interact with larger race fields of humanity. So as you're working in larger group fields to impact healing conduits for individuals, you may be called to certain areas with people that live in certain grid areas. First and foremost, this grid work is designed to reconnect the human being's awareness of the soul and to be able to receive the soul energy inhabited back into the human flesh and body. When you're working with the awareness so that you are a genetic path cutter, and again, you may want to see our Ascension Class 4 of Genetic Path Cutter and its videos on the website, you will see how the clearing of layers moves into larger and larger group fields in order to reach the critical mass functions of embodied spiritual light on the planet. These multiple layers move in multiple octaves of pattern, which are moved in cycles of biological time. Because of the necessity of obeying the governing law of mechanics in the dimensional fields, and if not obeying these laws, damage occurs to the person's DNA and time and space fabric. So there are times when certain processes cannot be fully extracted or may not be fully healed because the time sequence has not loaded yet into the physical body's station of identity that merges with the same time sequence in the spiritual reality. The station of identity, which is the microcosm, is defined by embodied spiritual frequency, which must merge and fuse to be compatible with the current station of reality, which is the macrocosm. The time sequence and the biological sequence must merge together and fuse together in order for complete healings to occur. This is why sometimes we have to have patience and perseverance and know in our heart, when you have fully committed to your ascension path, there is nothing to worry about and asking why you are not healed yet. Your body and your spirit must align themselves into the sequence that fits into the biological genetic pattern as well as the time and space pattern. Many times you may have to catch up personality functions to communicate with your spiritual functions. If the personality or the ego lives in fear or denial of its true essence and true spiritual purposes, the healing cannot transpire. If the personality develops superior thoughts or inferior ego complexes, healing, wholeness, cannot transpire. So what this means is when you pray for help from God, from the universe, when you do the practice of dedicating your body and mind and spirit to serve God's light, it is already done. You have nothing to worry about. You are not being left behind. However, what your responsibility is that you have to accomplish the arduous task of living your life authentically from your heart and spirit, clearing your ego and not falling off the wagon with your spiritual and self-commitment. This is what we mean about cutting through illusions. There is nothing but God. When you have some horrible, disgusting implant or an artifact that is taken or released out of your body, rather than reel in horror, remember this has purpose. Ask to see its purpose and why this has showed up in your life. When you perceive it in this way, it does not have to repeat itself, nor scare the daylights out of you. There are some really strange things in our universe, and we need to get used to it. When we are observing others, our friends, our family, even ourselves, this principle of biological growth matching spiritual field growth will also have influence on your personal spiritual development. It is something to consider and meditate upon. The cycles of life. We do have more implications now as planetary accelerations are impacting us, which also act as additional intense catalyst for ascension and spiritual awakening. So it may be important not to get too caught up on your family member who is still flailing about, especially your children or younger family members. Some of the younger generation and younger indigos, like indigo 3s, have some stomach-curdling pathways to carve out in order to wake themselves up. As a parent, this is a nail-biter for sure. One has to really work hard to be non-attached and to comprehend at what level you can be of service and help your child or loved one without interfering. As an example, because the original 12th dimensional human crystal DNA template, many people will wake up at biological age 33 and may have huge catalysts of change and spiritual awakening in their 32nd through the 34th year. Additionally, this is why in ancient mystery school setting, a 33rd degree Mason is at the top of the esoteric pyramid of wisdom. As we understand ascension mechanics, we study pattern, we study numbers, archetypes, we study physics and cycles. Everything in creation has intelligent purpose in pattern, and nothing manifested is random. As such, we can take into account the 4 basic stages of biological cycles, which include 2 additional catalysts into the life stream, which is called the taskmaster. The Saturn energies act as a taskmaster, which means if you've not figured out how to get aligned to your heart and spirit, some massive life-altering event, or even an exit point, which is the passage or death of your body, may transpire as you were not paying attention to your soul task. There is absolutely no judgment in this, as you set the exit point yourself before you incarnated. However, if you are wasting your life force energy and not being productive in your growth, the soul may call you home and invest its energy in another one of your lifetimes. During the tasking periods, you will notice many people leave the planet. As an example, we have seen a lot of celebrity rock stars leave the planet at around age 27. This was the taskmaster calling them back home for a start over. So let's briefly review some biological cycles of spiritual expansion in the original human DNA. As in the structure of the four corners, the four faces of man, there are also four main pillars of spiritual foundation for human biological cycles. Biological age 12, which was originally the soul and initiate level, which comprises the dimensions 4, 5, and 6. Prior to the year 2000, most all Earthlings were blocked in their DNA and unable to access or begin soul embodiment by age 12. This is a mutation in human genetics. In the last 26,000 years and prior to 2000, about 68% of the Earth population met partial soul accretion levels at some point in their lifetime. Most were reincarnated back into the third dimensional planetary system again. A very small percentage of humans were freed of the karmic wheel, while the rest were trapped in servitude in the underworld or astral plane. After 2000, this accretion is possible above fourth dimension and at age 12, and happens in approximately 20% of the population now on Earth, all indigos. The rest of us have to catch up in our biology later, or may have a specific spiritual contract. Biological age 22 represents the oversoul or monad, the adept stage, comprising dimensions 7, 8, and 9. Prior to the year 2000, most all Earthlings were blocked in their DNA and unable to access or begin monad embodiment by age 22 as their DNA template has instruction for in this lifetime. This is a mutation of the genetics in DNA. After 2000, this is possible and is happening in approximately 20% of the population, again, all indigos. Now remember, we're talking about past, present, and future within the cycle of 2012 that is happening now. The rest of us will have to catch up in our physical biology later. Monadic or oversoul waves for spiritual biological embodiment became available on our planet in 2009 and is undergoing further ascension development in the population of Earth now. Prior monadic embodiment is by specific individual spiritual agreement. This means for the soul embodied, the oversoul and monad is beginning to possibly inhabit the physical body now at this time during the ascension cycle. Now for the Saturn taskmaster at age 27. During this cycle, preparation for catching up on soul lessons that were missed by accelerating painful or unresolved issues in your life will now begin. How the person at age 27 chooses to deal with this cycle of time determines the spiritual level that can be accessed. the more we resist change, the more suffering we will experience. The goal is, with Saturn Taskmaster, to alter the life path direction of the human being to be interested in soul and spiritual pursuits, meaning the embodiment of the true self. This is also created as an exit point or an early escape hatch when the soul is not sure if they want to stay here in physical embodiment on the 3D earth. If they do stay, the first level of ancestral or family miasm is activated to begin the clearing process. The biological age of 33 is the avatar Christ teacher or ritual master, which comprises the dimensions of frequency of the 10th, 11th, and 12th layers. Prior to the year 2000, most all Earthlings were blocked in their DNA and unable to access avatar embodiment by age 33 or in any part of their lifetime. This is a mutation in the DNA and genetics. After the year 2000, when the 12th dimensional field and frequency was connected to planet Earth, this is possible and begins to happen in less than 1% of the population in predestined agreement, all indigos. The rest of us on the planet have to catch up in our biology later, or again, we may have a specific mission or spiritual contract. Avatar waves for biological embodiment become available in 2012 on our planet, and at this time are undergoing further ascension development possibilities now. This means for the few monad or oversoul embodied, the avatar Christ is possible to begin to inhabit the physical biology. Most all above 12 DNA-stranded indigos will have a walk-in experience, a massive Kundalini or spiritual event at age 33, especially if they are incarnated for world teacher or world service missions. Many humans will have spiritual events at age 33, also reflecting this biological pattern in the DNA. When this happens, they will have to start at the soul accretion level and move up the Jacob's ladder to accrete each frequency level until the avatar Christ levels. Because of the physics governing our consciousness, there are no shortcuts. Too much frequency exposure can damage and harm the brain and the nervous system extensively. Biological age 44, which is guardian, Rishi Sun, or 0 point. Most all Earthlings are blocked in their DNA and unable to access Guardian Sun embodiment by age 44 or any biological age. This is a mutation in the genetics on this planet and currently unavailable in a physical form. New templates of embodiment, new physical body templates are being created during this time with the Aurora Guardian templating mission. This is a founder guardian God consciousness in a form. The founders of our universe are returning to this planet to resurrect the dead and repair the DNA damage. This level of consciousness is completely neutral. And again, the Saturn taskmaster returns in our life at age 54. During this cycle, preparation for catching up on soul lessons that were missed by accelerating painful or unresolved issues in our life will begin to show up. In many cases, if the person did not get the spiritual message at age 27, they will manifest disease or sickness as an exit point during this age now. How the person chooses to deal with this cycle of time determines the spiritual level that can be accessed. The more resistance to change, the more suffering the person will experience. The goal is, with the Saturn taskmaster, to alter the life path of the being to become again interested in soul pursuits at age 54. Many times, awakening comes in disease problems and during the process of death transition, and the person receives much evolution by undergoing the learning process this way. So if they do manifest a disease path that results in rapid death of the body, or choose to exit in the disease state for many years forward to come, they learn how to love themselves better. This is generally brought on by an ancestral miasm activation that has not been cleared. If they did not clear the first level of it at age 27, they have a double level of intensity applied at age 54. The Saturn taskmaster has no mercy at this point, as its main goal is to mold the person to connect with their spirit. As you may have noticed in advanced biological human age, ages after 54, these biological cycles can be repeated in order to best serve the evolution of the individual person. As an example, there are many people biologically older than 54 that are just now beginning to advance into their soul initiation during the ascension cycle on our planet. However, their spirit and life stream will still obey this cycle moving forward, as it is in the human DNA genetic record. When we understand that the true DNA of the human race has been manipulated, has been mutated, the natural, organic, spiritual expansion cycle has been distorted. And you will notice the cycles of biology playing out at different age levels of the biology. As an example, when a person begins soul accretion or soul initiation, the original template is to begin that process at age 12. A human being not aware of emotional intelligence or emotional maturity or spiritual responsibility may revert back to emotionally childlike behavior. How many of us have had our biological parent act like a child? When one is undergoing spiritual shifts, the behaviors, the imbalances become extremely amplified. So you may see a person acting out their emotional tantrums like a 12-year-old. This gives you a clue why humanity is so childlike. Without soul connection or spiritual development, a human can revert to infantile, rooting behavior. Embodiment of spirit also increases emotional intelligence and emotional maturity for these reasons. Humanity has not only been oppressed spiritually, but severely stunted and damaged emotionally. In the interest of understanding the larger cycles of spiritual growth and biological growth patterns, while figuring out how that we can be of the best support to our family and our friends. I hope that you find these suggestions and this month's included audio meditations helpful. Until next month, stay in the luminosity of your avatar heart path and be kind to yourself and each other. Signing off with love.